pivot now to Brandy Cross. And so, Brandy, wanted to ask you a little bit about the research itself and kind of some of the minutiae, particularly when it comes to data collection,
Sure.
and that, of course, lends itself to data analysis and how to really create a good clinical research program when it comes to medical cannabis at large, and if there's anything in particular that you want to discuss too.
Sure. So where do you start, right? So my background is in biomedical research. So the fancy PhD with like 3 different things on it just means that I study different aspects of science, math, and computer science in the form of biomedical research, which is usually translational. So now I'm doing more translational, which means it's like from the lab bench to bedside rather than just keeping it on the lab bench. I think there's 5 things that you want to keep in mind beyond getting your PhD or getting a nursing degree or getting, actual STEM oriented degree, because I think that's where the data lacks a lot. We don't have a lot of PhDs in STEM who want to even engage. I mean, I was involved with organizing the March for Science, and my own science people were like, cannabis, that's a joke, and la la la. And it's like, did you read the papers? Like, there's so many papers out there with scientific data, but it's kind of twisted. And as a molecular biologist, someone that's good at organic chemistry and these different cell types and like the vocab, I can pull at least 25,000 articles on cannabis. We've studied cannabis. The research is there in basic science and in animal studies, and even some clinical studies, which don't get the light that they should because of the laws we have, which are very, very, very old. We used to test different things by burning them and then analyzing the smoke, and that's called gas chromatography, and we don't even use that anymore. We use a different kind of analysis that uses different kinds of chemicals to basically analyze things at room temperature. And what we found is that THCA is the dominant molecule, which is different than THC. As an organic chemistry person, that's my thing, I can tell you THCA and THC are 2 different molecules. It's not an analog. It's, you could loosely call it a precursor, but it's what the plant predominantly makes. In any live plant, there's less than 0.1% THC. So when you're developing a clinical program, I myself am politically an anarchist, and most people are like, oh, you believe in chaos? No. I think there's 5 things that anarchists believe in, such as self-discipline, meaning I'm keeping myself accountable, that really help this whole process. The first thing is being boldly honest. If something doesn't work, don't argue with people. Don't tell people, well, it didn't work for you because you didn't do this and that. And there's a lot of products out there where people aren't just being boldly honest and saying, it won't work for everyone. It's not magical. Our collective research group has 30% rare genetic disease, and I don't think that's a fluke. I think that's who we're helping. So you have to kind of be, I guess that's further down, you got to be humble. You got to be honest with yourself and with other people, because this is seen as experimental to the public, even though in science we have lots and lots of data. The other thing is being meticulous, and this is where I think getting a PhD in research science is really, really important for the kids out there thinking of how can I get into cannabis? We need more scientists. Extremely meticulous people can collect lots of data and then analyze it 1,000 different ways. From collecting 5 years of data, I could write probably 8 different scientific papers on different groups of people who've tried this, and either it not worked or it worked really well, and what the differences between the groups are. So being meticulous, being brutally disciplined, that's my other thing, brutal discipline. Like, you can't just party at the cannabis parties and expect your career to go great. I mean, that's going to be great in the short term to make relationships, but in the long term, you're going to have to keep yourself analyzing that data so that we can pass it on to people like Sharissa and Abby, and they can actually have this mathematical equation type data, what we call hard data. The other thing is you must be immensely intellectual, meaning you can't just study science. You need to study sociology. You need to study politics. You need to study a lot of things to actually make it in the cannabis industry, because there's a ton of wheels turning. It's like an 8-wheel cart. You're always filing your taxes, or you're doing this or that, applying for grants, and you've got to understand different processes and how they work. And finally, you have to be really creative. We collect data over social media. We use social media to amplify and recruit people to our research program. We use it to give out discounts. We use it for outreach, obviously. But also, all of our things are online. So when COVID hit, it was like, we're still collecting data. You can still hit the link. You can still go to our website. You can still have this product. It didn't really affect us because we were creative to begin with and working outside of the box and meshing those 5 things together in order to stay stable, even in the worst of times. And in the worst of times, we were able to actually give back to our community and offer discounts and things like that because we knew people were struggling with low overhead. Again, being creative in how you finance things. A lot of people are quick to take investor money, not knowing that the R&D department is going to be nil in their company. So if you do have a company, build out your R&D department. I'm here, contact me. Like, I've set up R&D in lots and lots of different corporate labs. It's not as hard or as expensive as people think, but it is expensive. Science is expensive. Like, the tools we use to get the answers we need are expensive. And so since we self-finance, we also have a membership product program with our research products, but it's like you have to actually give us feedback. So some people are like, I don't want to do that, but some people are really into giving us feedback, and that data can be used to argue different laws and really amplify the voices of patients, because that's what we want. We want to know what the patients are feeling. We want to know from them, because if it's just us telling them they're going to feel better, it's not going to work. You know, there's still going to be people it doesn't work for. So getting that data and those actual numbers and knowing, you know, statistically how many people we can help is so valuable.
Okay, thank you.
If you're new here, please consider subscribing for more videos. And if you love this content, please consider joining my Patreon. The information is in the description. And with that, this is Dr. Cross giving you another molecular view.